Alright folks, yesterday I posted the first part of the top 10 strongest carnivores in the Jurassic franchise that covered the first 5, which most people seem to agree with. In this video we're going to be covering the final 5, the strongest of the strong, some of which aren't even dinosaurs, from novel monsters that can throw cars into treetops, to tanks that can just eat shotgun blast. And as I said in the last video, I'm not going to be including any of the creatures from Rebirth, because even though it's said that they're the most dangerous dinosaurs, I won't scale them just because of the hype. I'll wait until July and watch the movies, then I'll be comfortable making a list. Since you get the gist, let's get into it. But just before that, consider hitting that subscribe button. It really does help the channel and allows me to keep cranking out videos like this for you guys. There's also a Discord link down below for you to join. With that out of the way, let's finally get into it. Yup, Red was bound to make an appearance. By the way, I'm going to be calling the Tarbosaurus Red because I don't feel like saying the Tarbosaurus. And I couldn't find any fan names for her, so I'm just saying Red. She may be a Tarbosaurus, but at heart she is a T-Rex. Literally, because it's actually a Jurassic Park Rex model with a different color scheme and spikes. At 40 feet long and more than 7 tons, Red is the biggest carnivore on the list so far, and really does throw her weight around. Able to bring even the Queen of Nublar to her knees, Red was introduced in Camp Cretaceous Hidden Adventure, where she spends all of her time tracking down humans across the map, even though I'm sure there's many other things she could eat around the island that would be easier. During her screen time, I don't think she was fully grown, or if she was, then damn, she's fast for an adult. The reason I say this is because Rexy back in Jurassic Park was able to push 30 miles per hour and catch up to a jeep, and now that she's older and 2 tons heavier, she can't outrun a fit person. Red is able to match the speed of a car too, which leads me to think that she's similar in age to Rexy when she was in Jurassic Park. She doesn't just have speed on her size though. During the chase, she swings her head and knocks the moving vehicle over. Not even Rexy was able to do that. Speaking of Rexy, Red actually ran a fade with her. There is a scene where Red interacts with Toro too, but this time the indomitable dino spirit doesn't help him. He may be one of the most durable things ever created in this franchise, but even he was sent flying when Red shoves him. Rexy kinda gets the same treatment despite her being bigger than Red. We see Red manage to somehow push the Queen of Nublar down to the ground fairly easily, but then she got distracted by the campers and decided to turn her back on another mega theropod of her size. Like, where was the self-awareness? I heard the reason for this was because she thought the campers had her eggs or something, but still, look behind Rexy or at least finish her off. This cost her life as Rexy gets up and slams her into the water pipe, and does like a 2-second bite which either kills or severely injures her because she was left unresponsive. She may actually be the first mega theropod to actually be damaged by a T-Rex's bite so fast in this franchise. Like everything else can shrug off Rex bites, even the Spinosaurus with a much thinner neck. If she had remained focused and decided to continue her assault on Rexy when she had her on the floor, I think she could have had a chance of even killing her. But hey, even though she got brought down, it's still an impressive feat setting a full-grown T-Rex on its back without receiving a scratch. Not to mention she was able to rip apart the baryonyx animatronics. While Red may not have the best durability, the next carnivore excels in taking damage and walking it off. As some of you called it yesterday, the Deinosuchus was going to make an appearance on this list. It's from the Jurassic Park arcade game, which has the novel variants of a lot of dinosaurs, like the camouflaging carnivores and the striped crackhead raptors. The reason I chose the Deinosuchus is because its DNA was actually used to create the Indominus Rex, and there was also a cutscene where a Deinosuchus skeleton is seen near a riverbed when Owen was walking by in Fallen Kingdom. In the game, the Deinosuchus is about the same length as Red but weighs 9 tons or more. It's introduced in one of the most badass ways possible too. It grabs one of the crack raptors and destroys part of the dock in the process. The animal is basically a tank. When it takes rounds from a shotgun, it hardly does anything. The only way to really damage it is to shoot it in the mouth. Now, I'm not any shotgun expert or anything, but I've seen a video where it reduces bricks to rubble after a couple of rounds. But for whatever reason, this Deinosuchus doesn't seem bothered by it unless you aim for the mouth. I'm sure we've all heard that a lot of a crocodile's power, besides its bite, is in its tail, and that is true. But I have never seen a big crocodilian more than 500 kilograms jump and expose more than 70% of its body. Yet this 9-ton crocodilomorph has enough power to propel itself fully out of the water and down onto the shooter. After not getting anywhere, it destroys another part of the dock and jumps onto it, and then advances towards the shooter where it's finally killed after succumbing to blood loss after being shot in the throat and mouth so many times. It would make sense as to why the Indominus was able to take the type of damage she did, because I can't see any other creature in her makeup that could grant her that much durability. This Deinosuchus is the first non-theropod carnivore on the list, so not bad for 4th place. However, the reign of the theropods continue, with not just 1, but 3 at number 3. In a video I did a while back ranking the top 5 strongest megatheropods in the franchise, I ranked these dinosaurs differently, but after reanalyzing it, it's so close that I decided to lump both the Spinosaurus and the Giganotosaurus in the same rank. Oh, and Rexy too. No, not that Rexy. She would still get dealt with in a manner the other two dealt with Rexes before. This time it's Rexy from the novel. Here she's an absolute unit, and now all three of these animals are the 10-ton mark. While Rexy in Jurassic World struggles to fight anything her size or larger, Rexy in the novel is able to bring down an entire sauropod with ease, and even though Rexy in the movies got slower because of her larger size, in the novel she's still able to match the speed of a car despite weighing as much as 2 Asian elephants. Speaking of cars, remember that scene in Jurassic Park where Rexy just tips the car over in frustration? Well, guess what? In the book she grabs that shit, lifts it into the air and yeets it at the top of a tree. The fact that she was able to bring down a sauropod too is very impressive. I'm pretty sure that the sauropods in the book weren't anything like the ones in Jurassic World. These ones are bigger and will defend themselves accordingly when needed. But in the novel, Rexy really doesn't care about food, she's just a D1 hater. When Lex sneezes and gives their position away on the raft, she leaves her mountain of still fresh meat and jumps into the river and swims fast enough to catch up to Grant, Lex and Tim. But just as she was about to kill them, she sees a juvenile Rex eaten from her kill, so she then paddles back again to try and kill it. I like how in the movies Rexy and all the other Rexes are generally nice with each other, but in the novel they won't hesitate to kill another one if the time calls for it. After chasing off the juvenile, she goes right back to chase Grant and the others, following them along the river. Like that is some insane endurance. In Jurassic Park she got burnt out in under a minute, but in the book she doesn't have a rest tank. Then there was a time Muldoon shot her with a very powerful tranquilizer, but it takes much longer than it should, and near the end she manages to corner Lex and Tim behind a waterfall, but ultimately succumbs to the sedative and slumps into the water. If this Rexy was brought into the movies, it would be much harder for the other two to take the dub. That doesn't mean that they're pushovers by any means now that we've added the novel Rexy though. The first T-Rex killer in the franchise is to this day the only dinosaur villain that has survived its movie. The Spinosaurus could cause an extinction event on Isla Sorna over time if it wanted to. When it comes down to raw durability, it has the best out of any megaceropod. Its sail, which is supposed to be the most delicate part of any animal, took a direct hit from a plane and endured the full weight of the Spinosaurus itself after falling on it. That's 10 tons directly on top of it, yet it remains unscathed. Not to mention bullets from powerful guns used in the military don't really do anything, and let's not forget the classic scene where it took all those direct hits from an adult T-Rex and just shook it off. This theropod is both the most hated and most loved animal in this franchise. Like there's rarely in between. People either think it's their favorite thing in the franchise or they hate its guts. The reason a lot of people do hate it is because it killed a T-Rex. No, not just kill, it disrespected a T-Rex, and the fans of the T-Rex didn't like that one bit. It held an adult T-Rex in place and snapped its neck with no resistance whatsoever. If it wasn't for its thick skin, it would have had holes in its head when a Kentrosaurus hit it directly in the skull. In terms of raw power, it's pretty up there. It split a plane in half and then tore it to shreds. Then there's all the times where it just manhandles T-Rexes, and also that instance where it shattered a fence designed to keep dinosaurs like him out specifically. The first Rex killer of this franchise truly is a monster, but so is the newest one. Zeb looks like a dragon basically, and was the one creature that made Rexy rethink trying to challenge him the first time they met. In the prologue, the Giganotosaurus killed the T-Rex faster than anything else I've seen to date. The moment it gets its footing, it overpowered the Rex and threw its dead body on the floor. It didn't even give a second glance. It just walked away. There are some claims saying that Zeb or the prologue Giga had the power to bring down Poseidon with ease, but I'm not sure how accurate that is. Someone in the comments, if you know about it, please let me know. If that is true, then that would make him a Titan Slayer. It's so strong that the directors had to put 2 different megaceropods up against it at the same time just to kill it. If it was just Zeb and the Therizinosaurus, he would have had an early Thanksgiving. Rexy usually doesn't hesitate to rush anything regardless of the size, but after Zeb bit her on the snout the first time they met, she heard her ancestors say walk away, and that she did. In the end, she didn't listen and decided to fight Zeb in the final showdown, and it goes just how you'd think it would. He overpowers her and throws her down the same way the Giga did in the prologue. But with the power of plot armor and magical bullshit, she raises from the brink of death and tag teams him with the Theri. Overall, the fight between these 3 would be very close. Either could end up dying after the fight even if they won due to the injuries. But believe it or not, I think Rexy from the novels might have a good chance of winning a lot of the times, just due to her raw power and endurance. But as I said, the fight could honestly go either way between the 3 of them. And one more thing, for those asking about all the other Rexes of the franchise, well, they get beaten by these 3 and possibly the Deinosuchus, but they beat everything else below. But I didn't want to just list that. It would be boring if I just listed Rexes all the time. I'm just using one representative for each species, and for this list it's novel Rexy. But if it makes you feel any better, all the other Rexes beat everything below the Deinosuchus, so yeah, you do the math. With that out of the way, these bitter rivals in the Jurassic community are natural powerhouses when the time calls for it. However, these natural gems would find steep competition with Wu's first successful hybrid. The Indominus Rex was the first hybrid we were introduced to and ever since has set a whole new stage for this trilogy. So many different hybrids have come out after it, yet it still remains the most powerful one and by a good amount. She has the most abilities out of anything on the list: camouflage, manipulation, and unnatural pain tolerance, which gives her the slight edge over the other theropods in my opinion. Acid 87 may be my favorite dinosaur in the franchise, but I think even he couldn't compete with Wu's second monster. She slaughtered an entire herd of theropods just for the fun of it, and didn't take any damage, then tanked a full-on club to the face by an Ankylosaurus and suffered a light bruise. Then she just took out its knees, flipped it over and killed it. That's not all of her durability feats though. She took continuous shots from Owen's rifle and didn't even react, soaked up the shockwave of a rocket launcher and got bitten repeatedly by Blue and a Rex, who threw her into buildings. In terms of full out raw power, like no holding back, there's few that can come close. She somehow was able to break down a zipline tower, like disassembling a Lego piece, and was able to bash through the aviary, which is bullet resistance, and then threw Rexy to the floor once she got a hand of fighting a theropod similar to her size. Then there's this. Rexy threw a car, but this hybrid slapped a truck and sent it airborne. I'm pretty sure one of these things is more than 4 tons by the way, which is twice the weight of the Jeep in Jurassic Park. Then there was her managing to somehow break the sliding gate in her enclosure. A lot of people overlook this feat, but that's many tons of force closing in, and somehow she manages to keep her ribs in one piece and destroy the gate entirely. But hey, even if her raw power and durability doesn't work, she always has her intelligence and manipulation to fall back on. This was the very reason she was able to escape in the first place. She left claw marks on the walls of her enclosure and then camouflaged in the part of the paddock with a lot of vegetation to avoid detection from the cameras. Then she ripped out her tracking device after she remembered them putting it in. It's amazing that she even knew what it was by the way, but she left it on the ground in a location that would allow her to use her camouflage again. This lured the SWAT team as she expected and she then murked them. When she found out that she was being shot at by the helicopter, she broke into the aviary and chased all the pterosaurs to distract them. This worked out better than she anticipated and actually brought the chopper down. But the most infamous scene was her talking to the raptors. She was just manipulating these guys by the way, she didn't care about them in the slightest. She just needed a distraction because she knew she would have been killed if that mini army focused all their attention on her. So she convinced them that the humans are bad and this takes the focus off of her for a while, but at the expense of one of the raptors. To prove that she didn't really care about them, the moment Blue refused to kill Owen, she hit her onto the wall and then looked back at the 2 remaining raptors, as if she was saying that's gonna be you if you go against me. So overall a pretty big menace. She managed to do all of this while not even being fully grown. However, in the end she gets taken down by the one thing that's not just stronger than her, but the strongest thing in the Jurassic franchise as a whole. The Mosasaurus is the largest thing in the franchise besides probably a blue whale. It has a series of growth spurts between each movie too. It was around 50 to 55 tons in the first movie, 80 in Fallen Kingdom, and in the Dominion it weighed more than 100 tons. This is 10 times heavier than a real-life Mosasaurus. Creatures of this size require a medium to even have a chance of moving such mass, which is why all cetaceans get beached so easily, with a few in the dolphin family managing to cheat this in a way when hunting, but even they get beached sometimes if they take it too far. This Mosasaurus however was able to propel itself out of the lagoon and directly onto the Indominus Rex, where she wiggled for a bit and then did a backflip back into the lagoon with more than 8 tons in her jaws. Just like crocodiles, I haven't seen a fully grown cetacean other than those in the dolphin family jump almost completely out of the water. Yet this Leviathan was able to calculate the exact speed of a helicopter and the time just right, where she then jumped up and caught the dude hanging from the ladder. Just before that, she somehow ate a submarine. I don't know how that's possible, but she did it. In the last movie, she's able to travel thousands of miles to get free food, and capsizes a large crab boat with just her weight and a slight pull. Despite this, she somehow bonds with humpback whales. It isn't stated that she's mixed with whales, but I guess it would make sense since she herself sounds like a whale during some calls. There is absolutely nothing capable of even looking in the same direction as the Mosasaurus, probably except its rebirth counterpart, who actually behaves and looks more like a whale with the belly striations. So that's pretty much all on the Mosasaurus, guys. What else can I say? It's what everyone knew was coming and is the only logical answer for number 1. With that said, this brings us to the end of the list. What do you guys think? Did you expect the rankings on the list, or do you think it should be completely different? Let me know in the comments below. Alrighty, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Tomorrow is another analog horror video. I'll see you guys then.